Yo, what is good, Random Team? I'm RJ West, and I'm here for the series that I was talking about, the Where Should They Go From Here series. And to start off, we're talking about the Brooklyn Nets, since they finished with the worst record in the NBA. And so I did start today once the season ended, which is why I waited so long to do this, because it made the most sense. So obviously the Nets finished last in the division, or last in the NBA, but their draft pick goes to the Boston Celtics, which is awesome because the Celtics are my second team. And so when we look at this, the Brooklyn Nets, their current roster lacks, Brook Lopez, an all-star, I say potentially, because he has improved his game this year up to the 3-point range. He averaged 20 points a game once more and only 5 rebounds, but it's mainly because he was stretching the floor. He was shooting a lot more this year instead of trying to get rebounds. And he's always been a guy who has just been able to put the ball in the basket. Out of Stanford since 2008, been able to put the ball in the basket, and he's going to be 30 years old soon. So his defense is a bit overrated in my opinion. Let's actually take a look at these attributes. This is a better representation of what he can actually do. Yes, 98 offensive consistency because he knows how to put the ball in the basket, but he hasn't rebounded as much this year because of his play style. And so his defense isn't all that good. He's a good shot blocker. He is a good shot blocker. So that's actually one thing that 2K got right. But this is really their only guy that they can move. He has 2 years left on his contract. I'm pretty sure he's going to leave in real life, because, who would want to stay with the Nets? So they're going to need to trade him. So now let's take a look at their contracts here. So they're going to have to trade him this year. Otherwise, they're going to get no value out of him at all. So they tried to get stars to put seats in Brooklyn. They're moving to a new city, so they're trying to get people to show up to games. So they traded for Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett and Jason Terry too, but more accurately Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett. And so the role players, they're pretty good. Jeremy Lin is a solid point guard. Offensively, he's a solid point guard. To pull up his stats real quick. 14 points, averaged 14.5 points, 5 assists, 1.2 steals. He wasn't very efficient, but his abilities are pretty solid. He'd be a good backup point guard. Just like Trevor Booker, he'd be a pretty good backup power forward. He's getting his first he got his first full opportunity to start for a team, and he averaged 8 rebounds and 10 points. And that's basically just his role being increased and why he's getting these new stats, or whatever, getting these better quote-unquote stats. But Trevor Booker, again, a backup. So besides Brook Lopez, there's nobody really that can start, and they're still with the Deron Williams isn't that bad of a situation, only $5 million, and nobody's going to really come to Brooklyn either way. So there's not much to worry about in that department. The salary cap isn't the problem. The problem is that they're giving up a pick to the Celtics next year as well. So they're going to need to trade Brook Lopez for some picks. Now, where that destination may be, I'm not sure. It would be somebody that can use a backup center that can put the ball in the basket. Now, the Pelicans, I doubt they give up any more picks. Maybe they could. Maybe the Nets could get a low lottery, high playoffs draft pick, something along those lines. If they trade for, the Pelicans basically traded away their assets. Or maybe even, Brook Lopez is going to want to start, so I'm not sure how he would fit entirely in with a team, because defensively he's not that good. So you're going to need somebody you're going to need a good defensive power forward at that position. And like the Wizards, I mean, the Wizards, Marcin Gortat is stuck in that long contract, so I'm not sure where they would be to trade, where they would trade Brook Lopez. I'm not sure, so don't ask me where that might be, but they're going to need to trade him. I'm not sure if people are going to want him. I mean, maybe the Warriors might. I don't know if they would, but maybe the Warriors might, because it doesn't seem like a selfish guy. Seems like he would have to redeem himself and have to have that strong personality to come off the bench, because that's what the Warriors do. We're all about redemption, finding redemption players and getting guys that can adapt to their role to revive their careers. So maybe that might happen. I don't know. I mean, don't actually quote me on that. Don't actually quote me on the fact that they might look to Brook Lopez. You can quote me on the other things that I said just now, but overall they're going to need to trade Brook Lopez because right now they don't have any draft picks whatsoever. I mean, they have the Wizards pick that they got from the Bojan Bogdanovic trade, but it is lottery protected. The Wizards aren't in the lottery, so they're going to have a late first round selection, and they're going to have the Celtics pick this year, but it's a swap. It's a swap, so they get the worst end of that deal, and they don't have a pick after that. They don't have a pick until 2019, so they're going to have to use this pick wisely, which it appears to. We'll take a look at the mock drafts real quick. What the? Oh, I forgot to pull up a draft class. Hold up a second. I'm just gonna need to download that Embrace the Pace draft class. There. So now we have a mock draft. Okay. So obviously this isn't. So the Lakers are gonna get that pick, but we talk about the Nets. They have the Wizards pick, which isn't going to be very good, but hey, I mean, maybe you can get a guy like TJ Leaf. TJ Leaf is a guy who is pretty athletic, and this update required cheese is coming up. He's pretty athletic. He can stretch the floor. I've seen him in Stanford. I mean, not Stanford, UCLA with Lonzo Ball, and he'd be a pretty solid role player, which I'm not sure if they don't really need role players. They need star power, some star talent. So if a guy like Zach Collins can fall to them, that could work out. Or even if they pick up Nigel Hayes. Nigel Hayes can be a solid guy for them. I would say this is round 1. I'm not sure who this is. There we go. I can't see from this perspective because this update required cheese. So the Nets are going to need to spend that draft pick that they own, or the draft picks that they own, wisely. Get some role players, get some valuable talent, maybe if Ivan Rabb falls, or get TJ Leaf, Jaron Blossom game. I'm not sure about him. I haven't really studied him, so I'm just really not sure. Looks like he's a good defender based on what Embrace the Pace has his attributes at. So the Nets are going to need to use those draft picks wisely, and they're going to need to trade Brook Lopez in my eyes. Maybe get a first round pick, but I mean, the way it's looking like is I don't think they're going to make a trade. I don't think they're going to make a trade. So they should, but I'm not sure if they will, because they don't want to go with a full-on tank since the Celtics have their pick. So they're just going to need to have guys develop, because there's also Rondé Hollis Jefferson. He's an asset, so they have some young assets, but the problem is they don't have a young asset that can become a star player eventually. That's the big problem in Brooklyn, and they don't have picks to accommodate for that. I mean, they do, but they don't have lottery picks where they can get some blue chip players. They can get some good role players on a championship team, but in terms of blue chip prospects, they're not going to get really any. Alright, so that is that. The Brooklyn Nets. So bottom line, the Brooklyn Nets need to spend their late draft picks wisely, and they need to trade Brook Lopez. I mean, maybe not necessarily, but they need to get some sort of value out of him before he leaves. Even if it's just like some player that is on his last leg, they need to get some sort of value. And so I have been RJ West, and this has been the first edition of where should they go from here. So where should the Nets go from here? I just went over that, and I'm saying so long. Next team we will be discussing will be the Phoenix Suns. So yeah, I'll see you then.